Hello, hello, is this thing on? Oh, good. Hey, good to see you too. Thanks so much for stopping by. Thanks so much for the good vibes. I am adding my face. Oh, thanks so much for the double dose of good vibes. Video capture device. Add existing LG. I guess just half a green screen is not so compelling. What should I do? Because I guess the thing with Peter is, I guess the light is still okay. If I show just like a part, if I cut this in half, maybe I can do part green screen. Light looks good. Yeah, these are the new lights. Thanks in part to Bruce Leaf. We can talk about the details of that later, but yes, very grateful. New mic stand too. Have a prop now. I can really rock out. And I've got a phone holder, so I can try to use a phone for a camera, because that's going to be a better camera than this thing. But I was not able to get that set up last time or this time. Love it. New emoji. Yeah. I've got a lot of emojis in the backlog that need building. The beaver one, the sleepy one. I have a list somewhere, or at least a partial list. Let's see. This is so exciting. Maybe I'll at him. At Peter. Rockstar. Oh, nice. Yeah, did Michael Jordan become Michael Jordan, or was he always Michael Jordan? In some ways, I feel like I've already succeeded, and all that's left is to play it out. And what's also crazy about Michael Jordan is he basically like Nike, like Nike wasn't anybody at all before Michael Jordan, and now look at them. Be the best you. Ooh, I love that. Trying to find the website that he said we're using for this. It's for doing this. And I'm just going to share my screen live so you guys can kind of see it live. Squadcast. Sure. Get started. Email. Oh my goodness. I'm not sure if I need to log in to try this out or not. Well, I know I don't need to log in to join his call. Oh, you can't see my screen. Oh, perfect. I thought I was sharing my screen, like trying to be all careful about passwords. Okay, great. Let's try this again. To enter your email. Is the music coming through? It looks like it is. Okay. Don't want the audience to be dying because of dead air. Squadcast. Oh, they want me to log into a different account? Squadcast is now a part of the script. Oh, verify your email. Okay. I did not get an email. Did I spell my email wrong? Or did it go to spams? Oh, there it goes. Please click this link to verify your email. You can now sign in. Okay, so let's try this again. Squadcast. Log in. So I need to sign up all over again for this script. I wish they would have told me that like before I signed up for Squadcast. I guess I can just use the same email as invalid. First name, full Q, last name, developer. Email is invalid. So then it takes me back to Squadcast. These people are very silly. Yeah, whatever. I just want to test it to make sure that the camera works and all that. Did you use the link in the email? I do not have a link in an email. Oh, maybe he did email me. My email box is always so full. It's rename myself to full email developer. Yep, still not sharing the screen. Great. I can enter passwords all day long. And then who would it be from? Would it be from Squadcast? Peter invited you. Join the session. Allow this camera. Close some windows. For others to see and hear you, Squadcasting is okay, yeah, we did that. Allow browser permissions. I did that. Failed to connect a microphone. Does OBS need to let go of the microphone in order for our Firefox to hear the microphone? Because that would be sad. Maybe I can do a loopback to trick them. Oh, compile dev, that's Peter. With all these, Cocoa type is like such a close name to, oh, perfect, yeah. Pass through, okay, so let's see, this part might be interesting. I can share my screen something like that. So there's the music. I have a pass-through device. I think I can add my audio interface. And then allow. Failed to connect microphone. No microphone is connected. Peter has too many names. Oh my God, Cocoa type is here too. Yeah, Cocoa type and compile Swift and compile dev. They all start with C. Just make sure your Twitch audio is not getting sent to Squadcast. Yeah, this is just the mic over here. Just the mic. Allow browser permissions. I did. So now I need to tell Squadcast to use a loopback. Yeah, I think I did that. So reload. You need to at least allow. How do I make it ask me again? Need help? Yes, I need help. Not found. Okay. Try Chrome or Safari. A man with taste. Okay. Copy. Safari. allow. I am wearing headphones. Let's do the front camera. And try out 1080. Compile subsequent file. Oh yeah, the GRFX guru. I forgot about that one. UI Buzz, the space cowboy, Mr. Texas, Duke of Swinton. Well, Safari seems to be working a whole lot better. So what happens when I join the session? Oh, and I can hear you. I believe that oh, they're saying they can't hear you. Okay, I should yeah. Right. Back to loopback. So I have other audio, so we can add Safari to the other audio. I'm also hearing that my mic sounds blown out. Can anyone confirm or deny?
Sounds okay here, but
sounds okay to you.
Squadcast is Squadcast is probably auto leveling it over here. Can't speak to the stream audio because I got that turned off.
Stream, you can hear Peter now, right?
Hello, stream.
Here you go. Let's put stream over on this window.
Stream.
You both sound good. Oh, thank you so much. Coco Types is barely, though.
Yeah, well, Coco Type's old, so it's probably his ears, you know. I'm looking at the levels here for the recording. Give me 1 second. I think it's okay for the recording as far as the stream. Yeah, they seem happy. All right. It's used to me being incredibly loud. Yeah,
I have my chat open. That's hilarious.
Yeah, I've got the chat open, but I have the audio turned off. Unfortunately, I can't mute the text from Coco Type. Lord knows I've tried over the years. Yeah. Yeah. All right. Are we ready?
1/2 of a half minute.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. And you want me to just call you full Q, Dev? Is that all right?
Daniel's good also.
Daniel, yeah, you tell me which one you want.
If there's a fire, whatever comes to your mind first.
Hey, dude. Yeah. All right. Okay.
All right. Hey, you with the funny face. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Okay. I'm gonna set this up to start recording just so it can get going here and check the bandwidth.
Oh, right. I want to start recording too.
Now,
thank you for reminding me.
Yeah. Now, what this does is It sends everything up. It caches it on your machine for you, and sends it up as it goes. So just heads up, when we've finished, it will still be uploading your video and audio. You'll see on the side, it'll show you. You just gotta wait till it gets to 100%. All right.
Okay.
Other than that, it's all automatic. All right. All right. I'm gonna hit the button here. Make sure the uploads are going good. Give it a second.
Sure.
And you may find that sometimes your video to you might not look so great. It's because it gives you a quick preview in order to upload the better version. Right.
That makes sense.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Looks like we're recording. All right.
Okay.
I'll do the introduction like I do. Anyone that's heard the podcast knows how this goes. I'll do the introduction, let you introduce yourself. We'll just get into it and chat, and then wrap it up at the end. If you need to pause or there's anything you want to like mark it for editing, just raise your hand and let me know so I can see it in the post. Okay?
Cool.
All right. Hang on. Here we go. What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the UI. No, let me do that again. Wrong podcast. What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Compile Swift podcast or video if you are watching this on YouTube. Whichever one you're doing, we will put links in the show notes. This is another special episode here. We have a guest today, and we're going to talk about something that I think a lot of developers do, and we're both passionate about this. I've got, you will know them as Full Q Developer or Daniel, and he is live streaming this on his stream. Hello, stream. And we're going to be talking about streaming as part of our developer process and kind of our developer life here. So without further ado, let's jump in. Daniel, please go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hey, everybody. Thanks so much for having me on, Peter. My name is Full Q Developer because, well, full stack just doesn't encompass enough of what I do. Not only do I do the back end and the front end, but of course the iOS and the Android and the DevOps and the marketing and promotion on TikTok, etc. You need a new name for that.
Yep, that's right. Yep.
And as I've grown, I feel like there's so much more that name encompasses. But yes, I've consulted and freelanced and employed as an iOS developer, as well as all the other kinds of developers too. I think that's enough for an introduction. Oh, and I started streaming about 20 months ago.
20 months ago, but it seems like a lifetime, right? Yeah.
I've been reborn so many times.
Well, let's and it's funny you mentioned that because I recently renamed my stream because why not make things confusing if you can. So mine used to be Compile Swift, as everybody knows, and the podcast and everything else and just me in general is known as Compile Swift. But I had the very same problem, which was I do so many other things, both professionally and just for fun. And so I decided to rename the stream to Compile Dev. But that then becomes complicated because, like you say, so many people know you by so many other names. We were talking about this before we started recording. But I wanted to change it to something that better suited the description, just like you got yours, right? Which says, look, Swift is a huge part of what I do. It is my day job and everything else. But there are so many other aspects to that. And so, I'm glad that you got it right from day one. Well done on that. Yeah. But let's talk about this streaming here because, yes, we've both been streaming for a while. And we wanted to talk about this because, we found each other through our streams and through the Discords. And again, folks, links for everything in the show notes. But we take in the streaming as part of our process of what we do. So, let's dive in here. What made you decide to start streaming to begin with?
So many things. of course. If there was only one reason, I would probably ignore it. But I guess the primary reason is to meet new people. And I can say
Mm-hmm.
we got a stamp of success on that. New people right here. I guess we have a pandemic in the world and people are reacting in all kinds of different ways. And the internet is a beautiful way to meet people that you would never have met walking along the street or something like that. So yeah, meeting new people was number one. I'm a developer. Uh, I'm I'm actually pretty bad at the video games that I like StarCraft or Heroes of the Storm. No one's gonna watch me if I stream those games. They're going to mock me, and perhaps even rightfully so. But you know what I'm good at? I'm good at writing code, and I saw other people kind of streaming some code, and I'm like, hey, I think I can do this. And the third reason was to try to make people happy. I feel like the best way to make yourself happy is to create your own happiness. And I wanted to show how I'm creating my apps, how I'm creating my little beaver colonies in Timberborn, and
Mm-hmm.
you know, also talking about creativity directly by we do some readings from this book every now and again.
Yep.
Every stream, not now and again.
Yes, no, I've attended some of those streams, and it's great. Yeah, yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, we have very similar goals as to how some of this came about, um, because it's kind of the same thing. I was like, well, I could stream games, right? I'm an avid gamer. I've been a gamer all my life, but everybody does that, right? And like you said, I'm not particularly like stunningly fantastic at any one particular game, and I didn't want to do just a hey, here's me playing a game thing, um, and so I thought about some of my other goals, and the reason that I started doing not only the streaming but the podcast, the blog, all of that stuff was because I realized through some jobs that I'd had in the past where I couldn't really, I can't talk about the work that I did there. And so I needed a way to show the world, look, I can do these things. Because I also have big gaps in my resume where it's like, yeah, I did some stuff for a few years and you're just going to take my word for it. Never works. So I thought doing a stream and all these other things is a way not only for me to record my own knowledge, but to put it out in the world and show people. And another one, especially with the stream, and thankfully I know this worked because folks who come to the stream and have started streaming have told me this, was to really show people, look, anyone can do this, right?
Yeah,
Anyone can make things, whether it's a
yeah,
program, a nice picture, a painting, whatever the level of creativity is, I believe everyone can do it.
absolutely,
And this was my way of showing, look, if I can do it this badly, you can do better, right?
exactly.
So it sounds like we had very similar goals there, right?
That's chapter one of this book. Everyone creates,
There you go. There you go. Yeah.
but
And we'll
also
put a link,
creation.
by the
Oh,
way, in the
sorry. Go
show
ahead.
notes. Yeah. No, I was just going to say, we'll put a link for the book and that in the show notes for everybody. So everything we talk about here, you'll be able to go see what inspires us, right? Go ahead.
Yeah, and I think like creation inspires creation, greatness inspires greatness. I was watching a whole lot of Project Runway a few years back when I started my Subway app Underway, and it would just get me fired up, and I'd just go program some Swift, like dresses
Yep.
and programming, nothing to do with each other, except it was so inspirational, just seeing people just really go for it and really get that dress looking just right.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think it's important for folks who are watching your stream right now or listening to this podcast or watching replays of this video to understand that um, there's this misconception, I think, that uh, when you do these things like programming, for example, that there has to be some end goal, some end product that ships. And that's not necessarily the case. I don't know about you, but I know for me, I create way more than I ever ship because a lot of it is about that personal discovery and about that learning, right? I don't,
Exactly.
if I go learn something, I spin up a project. I'm sure you do the same thing, right? And we may do that on our streams. Certainly, a lot of the streamers we know, shout out to the folks we know out there, that's a lot of it, right? We get together on these streams and we have the chat rooms, like your chat room going right now that I can see. Well done, chat room. Um, all of these things where we just get together and, like you said, with the pandemic and everything else, it's just like a little virtual space where we get together and we have a club, we have fun with it, which is always the most important thing to me. Even when I'm doing my day job and I have my teams of developers, the number one thing I always say to them is, you know, make sure you're enjoying what you do, right? Because number one, if you're not enjoying it, it's not the thing for you. And number two, if you are enjoying it, you're going to take away from that way more than if it just feels like work. And
Exactly.
you're going to go that extra step without even realizing it, and you're pushing those boundaries all the time, right? I don't know about you, but certainly the folks who watch my stream, for example, they're used to me screwing up all the time, and I don't mind it. I'll make fun of myself. They can make fun of me because, again, part of that is having everybody understand not every single line of code we write is perfect and works, right?
Exactly.
You know, it's the screwing up part that you learn from. So, how do you handle that on your streams if you're doing something and it all goes completely astray?
Oh man. Well, I guess for code, I guess I had a vision for like, oh, I would screw up and write a wrong line of code, like you just said, and I'd go on Stack Overflow and figure it out together, and that'd be great, and that would be a great learning moment to see, hey, look, even me with over 20 years professional experience coding since I was in grade school, even I
Mm-hmm.
write bad code. It's the things that fall outside of that that really throw me for a loop, like audio
Yep.
problems or some technical issue, or like sensitive stuff like passwords.
Yeah.
I showed my
Yep.
IP address
Been
once
there.
on stream, and oh man, I mean,
Not good, huh?
no.
Yeah. Yeah. Little tip there for folks on that one. What I do is very early on, I knew it's like, okay, this is going to be a problem. um, so if I just sort of trained myself, like never do anything sensitive on the stream. But if you do, like for example, when I'm working on my game or something like that, it has telemetry deck in there, right? But let's be honest, it's pretty harmless. So if I accidentally show my ID for my telemetry deck reference to that app and so on, and someone takes it, the worst they're going to do is send me some telemetry, right? So it's like, okay, try not to, but it's not the end of the world. It's a read only thing. They can't do anything malicious with it, but that is definitely something. Is you do have to remember that you're streaming because you can. The more you do this, like even as we're doing this right now,
Yeah.
um, you become very comfortable with it, and you forget that there's people watching. You forget that there's a thing recording. People can watch it later. You forget that, oh, they can freeze every single frame later on. So even if you only show it for a fraction of a second, they can go get it.
Yeah.
Right? And now everybody in the chat room's like, oh, I didn't think of that, right? So it does happen, but it's like everything. The more you do it, the more you get used to it, right?
Exactly. Yeah, I
Yeah,
made like
yeah.
a hiding the screen I'm doing something sensitive, but then it's like if I'm like deploying if I'm deploying my code to a server, like I'm just I'm just showing the hide screen all stream, and that was just not fun.
Yes. Yeah, that does become a problem, right? There are times when we do things where you can't show them and you know it's going to take a while. And I don't know about you, and I'm curious about your answer on this because sometimes I'll be like, oh, I want to stream right now. You know, it's like, I want to do a stream tonight. And then I remember, well, the stuff that I'm doing, I can't really show. Is there any point in doing a stream? No, I guess there's not. You know, and so it becomes a bit of a judgment call, right? But then there are folks who will stream every day or whatever, and I don't think I could take that kind of pressure, you know. Especially when you do this as a career, right?
Right.
And that's the other thing is there's a lot of folks that do this for fun. Fantastic. Absolutely do it. And then there are folks who do this for fun and this is their career as well, right? Like ourselves, you know. And so I never streamed, for example, you know, day job work,
Right.
and things like that. Everything I do on the stream is either personal stuff or we're just doing it for the fun of it.
Exactly.
You know, but talk about, you know, I don't think we ever become completely comfortable with this, but what was your approach? And were there times where you're like, this was a bad idea, I should never have done this? And how do you deal with those moments? Or maybe you're just a natural.
Definitely not a natural, but I would like to start off with a success story before we get into the
Go for
other
it.
stuff.
Yeah.
I guess the best time for doing something sensitive on stream was with I was working on FQauth, the signing with Apple open source server, and we deployed it to DigitalOcean on a trial account. So after the stream was over, I just deleted everything.
That's
There's
smart.
no
Yeah.
trace. But what was so freeing about that is I could just show everything. Like,
I
here's
like
all the
that.
IP addresses of the server. Here's just all the passwords I'm using. Here's everything. I guess
That's a good idea.
yeah, but that's probably not something you're going to do every day. Is like launch a like demonstrate an open source server deploying. I guess what I do now is I work on my app 2 days a week, one on stream on Sunday, and another time during the week. So my plan is any infrastructure stuff is going to be on my private session.
Okay. Yeah.
And those are early in the morning before work at the moment.
That's a good idea. So for you, you have this clear like line in the sand that says, all right, this is where I hate to use this phrase, but for want of a better phrase, this is where the real heavy duty stuff takes place. This is where the lighter, more fun, you know, stuff takes place that's safe to stream. Is that kind of how you break them down that way?
Yeah, so far I haven't done any heavy duty stuff on the private session, but I know it's there for when I do need it.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's exactly the plan going forward.
So has this happened to you where it doesn't work out for you because you're doing something and you're not doing it on a stream and you're like, oh, dang, it worked. I really wish I'd streamed this now, right? You know, have you had something like that? Because that happens to me all the time. I'm like, wow, I so did not expect this to work.
Has that happened? I'm sure it probably has. I feel like I'm just in two different headspaces when I'm coding alone versus coding as a show. I'm narrating what I'm doing. I'm saying, hey, welcome back, Stack Overflow. I'm saying, oh, there you go, Xcode crashing again. Whereas in my private session, it's just a little bit more heady. I'm not exactly narrating as much. Yeah, there hasn't really been anything. It's usually like a smaller thing too. The worst is when I think I have a full stream of tasks planned, and then I'm done in 5 minutes, and it's like,
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
hi,
Yeah.
what do you guys want to talk about?
That's when you get the opposite. And you're like, look, this was supposed to take all night, right? Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. That's what happened to me the other day. I was doing a thing and we were integrating Game Center into my app. And I wasn't doing it on screen because I'm like, okay, this is going to be a disaster. So I just did it without a stream, and then 10 minutes later was like, oh, it's working. And this was a surprise. So I sort of, on my next stream, ended up having to do a recap to say, look, this is how you set it up. And then other times there'll be a simple little thing like, I don't know, whatever it is, like, I'm going to add this screen and it's going to go there. And the next thing you know, it's like, and apparently I've completely forgotten how to do navigation in Swift,
Exactly.
And you're like, wow, because that's the time you're like, well, I'm probably looking a bit stupid right now. But I've learned to accept that it's like, look, this happened, and again, part of the reason for streaming this is that it's important for folks to see the failures as much as the success. Because like you say, I mean, I've been doing this for, I don't know, well over 20, into the 30, maybe years.
Yeah.
And there's an awful lot of failure in that time. And it's important for people who are getting into this stuff to understand you're going to fail at things. And you're going to hate life, and you're just going to be like, I should never do this. What was I thinking? And want to give up and walk away. Well, news for you folks. Here we are 20, 30 years later. I can't speak for Daniel or anyone else, but I still get that now. There are those days where you're like, what the hell am I doing? I never want to do this again, so it still happens. It's part of the process. You've got to get used to it, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I feel like demonstrating that is supposed to be powerful. I hope is powerful. I haven't actually heard any feedback, positive or negative, on this thing that we're both talking about, like showing Xcode crashing and showing me not remembering the architecture of my app, or like you say, how does Swift do navigation again?
Yes. Yeah.
Have you gotten positive feedback or negative?
I have, and I'll tell a story, but quickly for folks, if you've never used, if you've never had Xcode crash on you, make sure you're using Xcode, because I don't know anyone Xcode hasn't crashed on, right? The chances are, if it's never crashed, you're not using Xcode. That's your problem. So let's put that out there. But I do want to give us a story, because I want to inspire people to understand that anybody can do this. And that is, we have some folks that come to my stream, two in particular. Firstly, I want to give a shout out to Mono NZ, who's one of them, and this guy NZ. They are not related. They'll be the first to point that out. In particular, one of them, one had never done iOS development and came along and was like, "Hey, this is cool," and the other wanted to make a game and had never done any of this, and to quote them on it, they were inspired to start doing it because they watched my stream, which hopefully means they realized, well, he's doing such a terrible job, I can do better than that. Fantastic, it worked, So I have had people give me that feedback. I've also had folks contacted me via from listening to the podcast and similar things, saying and some of the reviews, which is, I break things down in a way that made it understandable for them to work with it and feel inspired to dive in and get working with that. So there's that aspect to it as well. So thankfully, I've had the feedback. Admittedly, I always ask, hey, I want more feedback. The more feedback you give me, the more I can tailor the content to what you want it to be. But I'm lucky that I've had those folks give me the feedback, because, again, folks, for us as streamers or whatever it may be, just having that one person say, thank you, you helped me in some way, that goes a hell of a long way to motivating us to keep us going, right?
Exactly. Shout out to all you in chat right now who do keep me going. It's
all those
really
folks
appreciated.
I
literally would not be here without you.
Background. I love it when, of course, I've seen your streams before, of course, but I love it when I'm watching people's streams on any subject and you see active chat rooms, because to me, that tells me that whatever the streamer is doing, you're making contact with those people, right? And it that's when it becomes a community. I think, again, for me sitting in front of a camera talking, um, it's just a live video without the chat room. I know when I do
Yeah.
my streams, the chat room is what makes it worth doing, right? On a day when I've had a terrible day and you're like, oh, screw this. If I do a live stream, I know the chat room's going to pick me up, and by the end of the stream, I'll be fully pumped and motivated, ready for the next one. And it's massively about the folks in the chat room, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
I've had days where I'm like, I don't want to stream today. I know it's a half hour to stream time. I'm not ready. And spouse B says, you really like doing this, right? So I get out there and do it.
Yeah.
And just like you say,
Yeah.
by the end, hopefully I pump up chat because chat pumps me up too.
Yep. Yeah. The chat room, uh, bless them, keeps me going. And anytime I'm watching somebody else's chat, I try to be as interactive as I can. Sometimes I think we all do this, and we should talk about one of the styles of streaming that you do as well, where you sort of have it on intentionally in the background. So I'm not quite as interactive with the chat as I would be, but it's serving as that kind of in your ear, in your eye community space that says, I feel like I'm working with someone remotely because we got that going on, right? Because you have your streams you do, sort of the scenic streams, I guess. I don't know how you would describe them. Talk about that.
Oh yeah, for sure. Um, yeah, so to sort of describe the scenic streams for the folks who haven't heard of them yet, on workdays from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m., I play some music and share my scenery videos. I live here in beautiful New York City, and there's a lot of really cool scenic spots, which I think are a little surprising. I think when people think of the city, they think of big buildings and smog, but we have grass too, and beautiful rivers. Uh, so yeah, I guess I forget exactly what the seed was that sparked this, but I have a bunch of these videos now that I've taken as a background for my podcast, and I could just play these because I had just started a new client and I can't show client code on stream. I'm not doing that,
Mhm.
but I still wanna be alive. And that turned out to be such a fun stream because folks will show up and say hi. I say hi back. We're all working together on our respective code. Xcode crashes. People type in chat. uh, yeah, that turned out to be like who's gonna want to watch this? It's the same thing every time. I put it on random though,
Yep. Yeah.
but I
Yeah.
think
But
they're
it
actually
works.
pretty good videos. Yeah, it's
Hmm.
been a blast.
Yeah. And, in particular, you see, to me, I'm thinking, it has a nice, and we'll get into this, but a nice psychological factor for those folks who are stuck in a cube somewhere, or an office with four walls, right?
Exactly.
Who don't have anything but literally that to stare at all day. Even just having that on a screen somewhere reminds you that life is going on outside,
Oh, well
right?
said. Well said.
you know yeah, and so that's an important part of it. And on that note, this is something else that I know we both care about as well. For me, and I'd be curious to see what you have to say about this. Streaming is, or any interaction like this, Discord or whatever it may be, is an important part of the developer life cycle, I guess you would call it, right? It's a very being developers is a very demanding, uh,
Mm,
job. It's
yeah.
all thought work, right? And it's all used sitting there using the brain all day, and so mental health becomes, as many of us unfortunately have probably seen in the news and things like that in our industry. There's a lot of layoffs and things like that, but it's very stressful. It's stressful even when everything is going great.
Yeah.
And I'm curious if you have any thoughts you want to share on that.
What do I think about tech layoffs and mental health in light of all that? Uh,
Yeah, I mean, because there must be, right? Do you have? Let me phrase the question a different way. Are there things that you do that help you deal with doing this day in, day out? Right.
I guess the short answer is I do see a therapist once a week, and I've been seeing him
Okay.
for over 11 years or so at this point, once a week, and it's been massively helpful for me personally. I feel like people get a trainer when they go to the gym, and no one bats an eye.
Mm-hmm.
I think therapy is getting some traction as far as I think like 20 years ago it was like, what do you like? There's nothing wrong with you, like,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
it's really helpful to talk things through with someone to discover how I actually feel. And once I can see how I actually feel, uh, what to do becomes a little bit more obvious. Whereas when
Yes.
I'm
Yeah.
when I'm sort of clouded by all these negative messages from externally or internally or wherever, just sorting those out alone can be daunting, especially when you're just starting out. Um, not to not to pat my shoulder too much, but I'm leading my sessions with the therapist now, and he's just kind of there as training wheels, which is
Great. Great.
which is pretty cool.
Yeah. No, you're absolutely right. I mean, I think to me, and my viewpoint on this is, um, a lot of the time we go to the doctor, we go to the dentist and that, so that not because we're having a problem, but because we don't want to have a problem,
Mm.
right? And
Well
I
said.
view it that, yeah, that's exactly the same way, right? It's like you don't wait for the car to break down before you fix it. You keep the car in good shape and hope that you never have to, you
Yeah.
know. And I kind of feel it's the same way because there are times like, again, for me, this is my day job as much as it is my fun time. And sometimes it gets too much, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes, at the end of the day, you're like, gosh, the day was just so draining that you don't want to do any of it in the evening. And, I know for me, sometimes when it gets towards the latter part of the week and I'm thinking, I haven't done a stream, I haven't recorded the podcast to put out at the weekend and things like that, haven't written a blog post, whatever it may be, it starts to add this self-inflicted artificial pressure. And
Mm.
that you're the one doing it to yourself, but still, it's there.
Yeah.
And there were times when you're like, I just can't do this. And I think it's okay to say, going to take a break, right? Going to take a break from the streams, going to take a break from the whatever creative content you're making. For me, something that I do, and this is, I just come off of doing the first year of doing this, and I'm now into the second year, is journaling as well,
Mm.
which I get it. A lot of folks are like, what? Why are you doing that? What's that all about? And, it's like, isn't that something you do at school? And it's like, well, yes, but it's surprising to me how helpful it is, right? It's just a stress release. Like I pop open day one and put something in there, but it also serves as a reference to go back when you're like, what did I do? How did I do that? How did I solve that problem?
Mm.
And maybe if you wrote it down in there, it's going to help you. The other way I do that too is with the blog posts, right? My blog started out as a way for me to forget things, but know that they're there. And we've laughed about this on my stream before because even on my stream, I have literally Googled something and my own dang blog post came up. And you're like, wait, I even wrote about this and I can't remember how to do it. So, folks, think about that too, right?
I think that's happened with me with Stack Overflow.
You've done that. Yeah. See, we all do it, right? There's too, and that just serves to say, look, see, there's way too many things you have to remember, right?
Exactly.
Find a mechanism that works for you and go with that.
But to go back to what you were saying about
Anything else? Yeah.
Wait, to go back to what you're saying about taking breaks, yeah, I organize my content into seasons. When I feel like as Mary Poppins says, when the wind changes, when I feel a break coming on, like I'll just take that 2 week break and then start a new season. And usually some sort
Yeah.
of transformation happens internally while I reflect during that. So yeah, the new season really does feel to me like a new season, a new breath, a new something happening.
Yes. Yeah. Sometimes for me, as well, just switching to a completely different thing helps. And this goes back to like we were saying about how I renamed my stream, how you came up with the name for yours, right? Um, I would probably hate doing the same thing day in, day out, over and over and over and over and over again. So, for me, like at the moment where I'm going through working on some games and I'm recording a Godot game engine video series, those are my way of stepping back from some of the other content that I make, doing this for a while, chasing down that interest, being constructive and learning with it, and coming out at the other end with something for everybody else. And then I'll cycle back to like this week where I was working on the Sprite Kit game back in Swift and things like that. And I think maybe it's worth mentioning to the folks listening and watching. Um, if you find that you're getting frustrated or bored or whatever it may be with something that you're working on, think about trying something completely different. Again, it
Mm,
doesn't have to be something you ever intend to ship. But I'm sure if you think about it, you would find a list of things that you remember saying to yourself, I was always curious about that. I was always curious how to do React. I was always curious how to do um, C++, whatever it may be. Well,
yeah,
go spend a little while just doing that.
why
And you'll
not? Try
find if you
everything.
step away, yeah,
Yeah,
if you
exactly.
step away and then step back in, it reignites that flame for the original thing that you were doing.
And I have another failure story to share there. uh,
Okay, go for it.
yeah, I guess at the beginning of season 5, this season, I wanted to make the reading portion of the live stream into more of a podcast, more of a pre-edited thing. So I
Mm-hmm.
worked all day Saturday, recording content, editing. I thought it looked fantastic. Played it on stream, which was I thought it went okay. And I did the same thing the next Saturday, recorded all day Saturday, uh, and then streamed Sunday using that as sort of as part of the stream, sort of pre-recorded segments. But man,
Yeah.
it was so awesome to do it, to see that I could edit that together, but I can't. I can't work Saturday and Sunday and Monday and Tuesday and Wednesday, and you get the drift. Like I need a day off.
Yes. Yeah. No, you're right. It's all too easy to become unhealthily obsessed
Yeah,
with something, and you feel like, oh, I got to get this done now, as opposed to, hey, take your time, have fun with it, right? I often say this on my podcasts. It's one thing if you've got client deadlines, right? Always respect those. But if it's something you're doing for yourself, take all the time you need, right?
exactly.
If it takes you 10 minutes, great. If it takes you 2 years, okay.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, you're the one that's telling you when it's ready and whether you want to work on it all the time. But yes, definitely don't overdo it. Burnout is a very real thing, folks. And again, I can't speak for Daniel or anyone else. I've been through it a few times.
Yeah.
It's very unpleasant. Very,
Very
very
unpleasant. Yeah.
unpleasant. Yes, and it's very hard to come back from. And thankfully now I know my warning signs and I can see
Mm.
it coming. But there was a lot of pain trying to figure that one out, I can assure you. Yeah. Yeah, awesome. Awesome. Cool. Anything else we should talk about here?
Uh, hmm. I think we covered quite a lot of things.
Yeah, we did. Yeah.
Yeah, for
I
folks
think we've
wondering about
given,
the book, it's coming back as kind of just the original version of just reading about it and talking about it on stream. It's not going
great.
away, but the podcast YouTube dream perhaps needs to come back at another time. I know that I can do it, just I don't have the bandwidth right now. Is
Yeah, and
yeah.
more power to you for acknowledging that, I think,
Thank
right?
you.
As opposed to just pushing yourself through it, because that can be the other thing too, right? Is you end up pushing yourself so hard to get something done that not only are you doing an injustice to you, but whatever it is that you're working on and the folks that will be receiving it, right? And it's just not worth it. Don't believe the hype of these people that keep churning out magnificent things every day, right? That may be what they show you, but I bet you they have a pile of sweat and tears behind it. So,
Or a team.
definitely, yeah, or a team, right? And that's an important point right there. Actually, thank you for bringing that up, because I know for myself and a lot of folks I know, they're all a one person team,
Yep.
and therefore that literally caps the amount of time and effort you can put into things.
Yeah.
And these folks who are like cranking out amazing material all the time, you know sometimes it's not just them. They may be the face of it, but they're not the only one. And that's an important point right there. I guess what I would say about that, something that I consider very important, is never judge yourself or hold yourself accountable to the work that somebody else does,
Oh,
right?
that's so
Because,
important. You can't compare.
yeah, yeah, you are not them and they are not setting the rules for you. So why make it hard on yourself,
You
right?
can be
The
inspired
only,
by. We can
yeah,
all be
exactly.
inspired
Be
by Michael
inspired.
Jordan, but there will never be another one.
Yeah, exactly, right? Yeah, exactly. And it's funny how many times I have to remind folks of that, which is, the only rules you should set in place and the only markers in the sand that you should judge yourself by is you,
Mm.
right? And what I do for that, just for folks, is I ask myself, have I done better this time than I did last time? That's all I'm looking for here, right? Because as soon as I start the have I done better than X, I'm going to fail every time, because inherently built into you is that criticism that says, nope, you did not. And now you're in the negative space, and that's not going to work for you, right?
And that's like the message of this book. It's like, yeah, he's saying like you have to discover yourself. Like you're the piece of God that's in you. If God is everywhere, God is in all of us, then that's yours to share, to bring out that expression and share that. And
Mm.
no one else has that same expression. It's gonna look different somehow.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. And here's the other thing too, right? Let's just say by some miracle, you end up achieving this comparison to somebody else. What has it really done for you other than, okay, great, you're making something the same as everybody else? Welcome to the pile of things on the internet, right? I mean, there's nothing special about that. At that point, you need that thing that defines what you did as different. Something I learned, this was, gosh, so many years ago. Back in a previous life, before this, I was a professional photographer.
Oh, sweet.
And when I was learning photography back at school, uh, the advice one of my art teachers gave me, which was just one of the best things ever, was that thing that comes up, this like, and it applies today with like to do apps, right? And they said, yeah, okay, hundreds of people have taken this photograph. Hundreds of people have written a to do app. I mean, all these things, but nobody has done it the way you're going to do it until you've done it. Right.
Yes, exactly. Bruno
And
Mars doesn't have a monopoly
that's
on love songs. There's still new love songs to write.
exactly. And so that has sat with me forever, which is, yes, okay, this exists in many forms. But it doesn't exist in the way I see it until I've done it. And I think that applies to everything when you stop and think about it. So, that is one of my guiding rules is until I've done it, I've not seen my version, and I've still got bandwidth to make one.
Exactly. Beautifully said.
Yeah.
Yeah, there were already Subway
Yeah.
apps when I made Underway, but there wasn't one like Underway yet.
Yeah, exactly. Right. And I was looking at your app earlier today, and exactly that. I'm looking at it thinking I've not seen one like this. Well, it's because I hadn't seen your one at the time, right? You know. And so that's how that works. And so I hope that everything we've spoken about here has helped not only the folks in the chat room, certainly, it always helps me to discuss this stuff with people. Hopefully it's the same for you.
Yeah.
But anyone that's listening to this podcast or watching the videos or the replays of the streams, I'm really hoping there's at least a couple of things they take away from this, which is the message of you can do this, right? Even everything we've said here today is our viewpoints and our opinions based on how we've done things. Well, you're never going to do them the same way we did. So maybe your experience is different.
Exactly.
And I love to hear from folks all the time. It's like, please, whatever your experience, even if you think like, Peter, you are so wrong. Fantastic. Tell me and let's talk about that, because that way I get to learn from it too.
Exactly.
Anything else here? I think, I'm hoping that at least that was my goal with this conversation was if we can make one other person say, you know what, you're right, and they start doing it, hey, succeeded.
That's the mission of my stream.
There you go. Exactly. Yeah. All right. Anything else?
That's all for me. Thank you so much for setting this up and inviting me to chat with you.
Oh, no problem. I was super excited. We were going to take this a different way originally, and I haven't given up on that dream. But when you said about talking about the streams and everything else, and from conversations we've had in the past, I knew that there was so much for you and I to talk about as far as creativity and just living that life and whatever form it takes, and streams and everything else and sharing it with folks. So with that then, Daniel, thank you so much for joining me today. And also thank you for letting me invade your stream. I greatly appreciate that. And thank you to the chat room, your chat room, for the patience and all the support that I see going by in the chat room. You're all awesome. You are blessed, sir, to have such a wonderful chat room.
I am. I do feel exceptionally lucky. But to your audience, thank you for letting me barge in on them. FullQDeveloper.com has the links to all of my apps and open source projects and GitHubs and Discords and all that. All the things. Yeah, and folks, we will put all of that in the show notes as well for you. But please, if you are not a follower of the live stream or any of those links, go do that. I promise you will be rewarded. So thank you so much for that. All right. And for my part, hey, folks, you know where to find me. It's Compile Dev on Twitch, and it is Compile Swift everywhere else. I know it's confusing. I'm so sorry. Go to compileswift.com and you are home free. All right. Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you.
I'm going to, All right. Let me stop the recording. Awesome. Well, I think that was fantastic.
That was a ton of fun.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you so much to you and for everybody trying to not distract us in the chat room. Right? Yeah.
I guess you saw my eyes starting over to read chat.
Yeah. Well, this was I can see the chat going by and I'm like, should I look? I don't know. Should I look? I really don't know. And I was checking. I'm looking for the one that's like, hey, Peter sucks. And I'm like, oh, okay, don't read that one. Yeah.
I didn't see that one.
I didn't. Maybe I should just put it in. I'll put it in myself just for balance. There you go. Yeah. All right, buddy. Well, I will let you get back to the normality of your stream. I appreciate it. Thank you so much for doing this. I will edit this up and I'll send you the links and everything when it's ready to rock and roll.
Awesome. That was my next question. Beautiful.
Yeah,
well, thank you so much. Have a lovely night.
You too. I'm so weird that I love editing these things. I'll probably sit here and edit this tonight because I'm just weird.
We love making stuff. Right, what can I say?
Yeah, that's it. You're like, this is easy. Now I've done the hard part. Now the easy part's just listening to it back. Yeah, that's super easy. Yeah. All right, buddy. Have a great one, and I'll speak to you soon.
Take care. See you on Discord.
Yep. Bye-bye.
Well, that was fun. Bruce Leaf wants to hear "We Are the Champions." Thank you so much for everyone being a part of it, especially Full Q Developer. Yeah, that was awesome. That was incredible. That was incredible. It is now 9 p.m. here in the great big city of New York City. I guess we have 4 minutes. I'll hang out for 4 minutes and we'll leave on the dot. I'll get that song in that was requested. If iTunes shows up, show all windows. Now I get to stalk you from the shadows of the chat room. Yeah, we're not no coding tonight. Just hanging out for a few more moments. Do. Whew. Yeah, thanks so much for everybody for stopping by. That was so much fun. Like, imagine just me talking to Peter alone. I mean, I think that would also be fun, but it was so much more fun with sharing that moment with all of you. And a special shout out to Bruce Leaf for the new lights and the new mic stand. I'm very happy with these. Let's see, what else can we talk about? I'm very happy. I feel like I've already done it. Now it's just playing it out. I've already made some folks happy. That's my goal, as stated. And yeah, if you can make your own happiness, if you can create your own, then you're not as jealous of other folks. You're too busy making your own happiness. Is what I think is so powerful about creating things. And then there's something new in the world. Imagine all the things that wouldn't be there if someone didn't go out and make it. Oh, what's showing on screen? Oh, it's just my face. I love you all. Thank you for being here. See, we should talk about Freddie Mercury at some point. Yeah, doing the podcast version of Living the Creative Act was a lot of fun. That was I can't do that right now. I hope it's really cool that I can do that amount of editing though. And I feel like I got better the second time I did it. But yeah, we're just going back to the regular format of reading and discussion, which I think from the feedback is I think what some folks prefer anyway. But as Peter said, he asks for a lot of feedback, and I notice I haven't necessarily explicitly done that. So yes, I am always looking for the feedback. I want to make the best developer stream, the best developer community. Best, of course, is subjective. There could be many, many bests. The best one I can make, I guess I should say. It is 9:01. Thanks so much for sticking around. I'm going to show the schedule for the rest of the month, and I will see you tomorrow at 10 a.m. New York City time for the Work With Me stream. Oh, should I try to raid someone? It's no one ever on after me on Sundays. Maybe there'll be someone on right now. Who wants the raid? Let's see. Is there anyone in software development? Then you have to find someone doing Swift if possible. Oh, there's me. There's me on the directory. I don't know. There's no Swifters that I can see. I think we'll skip the raid today. Yeah. If I search for Swift, I get a Valorant stream. Yeah, maybe next time. All right. Thank you all again. Take care. Have a great night. You too.